This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. The opposition is calling on the government to address the COVID-19 situation on Inagua and Mayaguana. Opposition leader Dr. Hewitt Minnis in a statement says the residents of Inagua and now Mayaguana are becoming more frightened as COVID numbers increase, and says the government must immediately dispatch a medical team to those islands, adding that there are only several ports of entry and all must be investigated. Dr. Minnis contends that the longer the delay, the greater the chances of disaster in the southern islands, which can spill into others. His statement continues that Inagua and other islands have limited healthcare facilities, noting that if this issue is not addressed aggressively, the situation can lead to more unnecessary deaths. He says data from vaccinations and tracing must be collected and utilized to plot the way forward. Well, that said, Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville seeking to paint a clearer picture of COVID-19 on the island of Inagua. In a statement, health officials indicated that Minister Darville made provisions for additional unused oxygen tanks on Mayaguana to be transported to Inagua for swift use. On October 8th, during Beyond the Headlines, hosted by Shanique Miller, the ministry says it was mentioned that many Bahamians and residents were concluding that Inagua needed a lockdown or curfew because of 4 recent deaths on the island. The ministry says the information shared by Dr. Darville was based on a report from an official on the ground in Inagua. This may have caused some confusion among residents of Inagua. That said, to clear up any misunderstandings, the Ministry of Health and Wellness releases the following information that reflects the current COVID-19 statistics for the island of Inagua as of October 9th. There's 23 active cases on the island, 34 individuals in quarantine, 3 RT-PCR swabs are pending, 7 persons are released from quarantine to date, and 1 case recovered thus far. There have also been 5 airlifts to New Providence for treatment of the virus and 2 deaths. Health officials say those 2 recent deaths were reported to the surveillance unit from Inagua, 1 on island and the other was airlifted into the capital. Additionally, 2 other individuals developed COVID-19 symptoms while staying in New Providence and subsequently passed away. Shifting gears, entering the first full week of court hearings since the decision to discontinue escorting those accused of crimes across the courtyard or the Bank Lane Shuffle, a number of suspects appeared in the magistrate's court on Tuesday to answer to a number of serious charges. Jerino Saunders was at the court and files this report.
Supported by family members in the gallery, Dandre Bethel, wearing a gray and blue jacket, stood before Assistant Chief Magistrate Sabola Swain to be officially charged with murder. The facts are that on Wednesday, September 29th, while in New Providence, Bethel caused the death of Renato Brennan. Bethel was not required to enter a plea. Bail was denied, and he was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until he returns for a voluntary bill of indictment on December 13th. In another court, Keno Yanvier was also facing murder charges brought against him by the Criminal Investigation Department of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. In another matter, before Assistant Chief Magistrate Sabola Swain, 5 people face charges related to armed robbery and attempted murder. Particulars are that on October 2nd, 29-year-old Haitian national Marvin Tilmy and 53-year-old Haitian national Garnet Newbold were accused of armed robbery. While being in possession of a handgun, the pair robbed Karen Bain of $3,354, a Motorola cell phone valued at $200, and a pair of Coach glasses valued at $560. Tilmy and Newbold were also charged with the attempted murder of both Miss Bain and Police Corporal 1964 Smith. They were not required to enter a plea. The 2 men were denied bail and will return to court for a voluntary bill of indictment on December 15th. Also charged with Tilmy and Newbold were 60-year-old Brian Goodrich and 55-year-old Jeffrey Lunn, who were each charged with 1 count of abetment to commit armed robbery and 2 counts of abetment to commit attempted murder. The particulars are, armed with a handgun on Saturday, October 2nd, the two aided and abetted in robbing Miss Bain of a deposit bag with $2,654, the property of Bahamas Air. The two men were also charged with abetment in the attempted murder of Miss Bain and Corporal Smith. The four men were all denied bail and remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until they returned to court on December 15th for a voluntary bill of indictment. Meanwhile, 60-year-old Goodrich was further charged with possession of an unlicensed 9mm pistol with 20 live rounds of ammunition. Before leaving the court, Lunn, Tilmy, and Goodrich all complained to the judge that they were, quote, brutalized, end quote, by several police officers, to which the judge made note. Tilmy was represented by Ian Cargill. The other four men were not represented. The lone female among the five was 33-year-old Ella Adderley, who was charged with abetment to commit armed robbery and conspiracy to commit armed robbery. Adderley informed the court that she is 2 months pregnant, which prompted the magistrate to encourage her to seek bail in the Supreme Court, noting that charges against her are very serious. She was also required not to enter a plea and remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Jurino Saunders for JCN News.
Stay with us. Our final stories are up next.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.